hard to get her life back on course.
She was always the one that just bring light to any dark place.
She loved her children. I know that she wanted them back.
She really started hustling and made great progress towards her goals.
How'd it go tonight?
Honey, does this answer your question?
However, fate had other plans.
He sees a woman face down in a pool of blood.
He tried to check to see if she was alive, but he did not find a pulse.
That type of wound will cause somebody to bleed out immediately and die.
The crime scene leaves more questions than answers.
Police see what could look like some drug paraphernalia.
People said that they were arguing for 3 hours and screaming like crazy.
It's stunning that no one reported hearing these gunshots after they went off.
But her family won't rest until justice is served.
The police grabbed me and tried to restrain me and stuff, and I was fighting with them and stuff. Where's my sister?
And when her killer is finally revealed,
my homeboy had sent me an article and I was like,
it's all hands on deck to apprehend him before he vanishes for good.
You can see him just walking across the border into Mexico.
There was a chance they'd never find him.
I wanted him to rot.
July 26, 2020, Lantana, Florida. It's early Sunday morning in this coastal community just south of Palm Beach.
Lantana's kind of like all the rest of the smaller towns along the East Coast in Palm Beach County. It's a sleepy beach town.
Despite being so close to a tourist hotspot and on the coastline, Lantana isn't a tourist destination. It's mostly for the locals.
It's a small community, probably about 12,000 residents, middle class, mostly hardworking people who live there.
However, despite its small size, Lantana is no stranger to crime.
Some parts of Lantana, the further east you go, is a little more sketchy, if you will.
It is an area that is pretty high with crime and drugs and just other economic challenges.
At a small, unassuming motel on the east side of town, one of the guests is returning to his room after having a smoke.
When he went outside a few minutes earlier, he noticed the door to another guest room was open, and he didn't think anything of it. But as he's coming back, the door is still open.
His curiosity got the best of him, and he looked inside.
hey, is anyone in there?
At first, he could only sort of see her legs that were sort of protruding from the edge of the bed because her body was being blocked by the bed.
Miss!
He walks in a little bit further in the room. He sees a woman face down in a pool of blood.
Miss! Miss!
He tried to check to see if she was alive, so he did feel her neck and her arm for a pulse. He did not find a pulse.
He immediately dials 911.
Yeah, I think I just found a dead body.
Within minutes, Lantana investigators are on the scene.
Police are no stranger to this area, and even this motel. This is an area where a lot of crime takes place.
They found the young woman laying on the floor, face down. Her hands were found above her head. And usually when someone is in that position, it would appear that they're trying to protect themselves from something happening. So it could tell the story that this young lady probably knew what was going to happen to her.
It looks like we're dealing with a gunshot wound.
She was struck one time in the neck, a through and through wound, and that type of wound will cause somebody to bleed out immediately and die.
Because of the way she's positioned, police believe that she was most likely crouched behind the bed in fear when the shot went through the mattress and hit her.
But who is she?
They find a wallet on the bed. When they open the wallet, they find the ID. The ID belongs to 29-year-old Denicia Seward.
Wherever Denicia Seward went, joy seemed to follow.
She had a personality out of this world. My sister loved gymnastics, and she loves to dance.
If any time somebody in the room was mad or whatever, she would know how to just make the whole energy change. That happy-go-lucky person, always the one that just bring light to any dark place.
As one of 5 siblings, Denicia always cherished being surrounded by the people who loved her.
I've got a big family, but we always was together until we got grown.
We always had each other's back.
But there was no one Denicia cherished more than her 4 kids.
Denicia loved her children.
She was the best mom.
She was really loving and caring about me. She was a very good person. She was funny.
However, being a single mom came with its fair share of challenges, and Denicia soon found herself struggling to keep up.
She started struggling with drug addiction.
She became overwhelmed by the financial responsibilities of raising 4 kids, and she had to make the difficult decision to let them live with their fathers while she got her finances in order.
She loved her children and she wanted her children. She was really sad that she currently didn't have them, and I know that she wanted them back.
Determined to make ends meet, Denicia got a job as an exotic dancer.
She was down on her luck at this time, and she was living in a motel. She was trying to better her life and get back on her feet.
She was like, I gotta provide my family, and that's what she did. That's what she did. So, I respect it.
Denicia also had a supportive boyfriend named Jason Miller that was with her every step of the way.
How'd it go tonight?
Honey, does this answer your question?
They met at the club. He's like a kind of dude that he deals with girls like that, but he fell in like it to my sister.
You are good at what you do, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Jason was known as a bit of a gentle giant.
He's a big guy, but he's a teddy bear.
And he treated Denicia and her family with the utmost respect.
When they first met, he came to me like, look, man, I'm gonna take care of him. I know what people may say about me. I'm like, bro, just don't put your hands on my sister. I'm like, I don't care what you do. She's small, she gets big. Compared to you, she just don't put your hands on my sister.
With Jason by her side, it seemed like only a matter of time before Denicia would turn her life around and get her kids back.
She loved them, they were inseparable.
But Denicia's dreams for a better future are shattered when she's discovered shot to death inside a seedy motel on Lantana's east side.
When the Lantana Police Department began the task of processing the scene, they found evidence throughout the room that there was obviously a party, there was alcohol, there were empty drink containers.
They also see what could look like some drug paraphernalia.
Detectives can't help but wonder, was Denicia's murder the result of a drug deal gone wrong?
29-year-old Denicia Seward was a single mother of 4 who had recently fallen on hard times.
She loved all her kids and would do anything for them.
She always came around when I needed her.
She was really sad that she currently didn't have them, and she wanted them back.
She decided she would do whatever it took to make that happen. So she really started hustling and made great progress towards her goals.
And with her boyfriend, Jason Miller, by her side, things were looking up.
She loved them, they were inseparable. I can't lie, like that was the most happiest I've ever seen her.
But in the early morning hours of July 26th, Denicia has been found brutally murdered in a motel room in Lantana, Florida.
So now they have to figure out who did this to her. In the room, detectives see what could look like some drug paraphernalia.
Detectives can't help but wonder, was Denicia's murder the result of a drug deal gone wrong?
When detectives continue to examine the room, they locate 6 shell casings sprawled across the floor.
It's clear the shot that hit Denicia wasn't the only shot fired that night.
The shell casings match each other. They were all shot from the same firearm.
It was determined that the firearm that was used was a Glock 40, which is a powerful weapon used by the military and most police agencies.
It's stunning that no one reported hearing these gunshots after they went off. But unfortunately, the sound of gunshots is pretty typical in this area.
A lot of times, people just don't want to get involved.
Further complicating things, motel management isn't on site.
Still no answer.
There's not a manager or motel employee detectives can easily speak with to get surveillance footage or more information.
As Lantana police continue trying to get a hold of someone that works at the motel, detectives get whatever limited information they can out of the other motel guests.
Some guests admitted they heard arguing coming from Denicia's room.
I heard arguing around 2:30 a.m.
The guests say it sounded like a male voice.
People said they were arguing for 3 hours and screaming like crazy.
You see what he looked like?
No.
Detectives believe that whoever Denicia was arguing with that night must be the person who killed her.
Meanwhile, news of Denicia's passing spreads throughout the community.
There were lots of people that were posting on social media what they thought was happening at the motel. So her family and friends started to show up at the motel.
I was one of the first ones called, and I even thought it was real. When I had pulled up on the scene, the police grabbed me and tried to restrain me and stuff, and I was fighting with them and stuff.
No, my sister's in here. Sorry for your loss. All right, just break it down a little bit, all right?
Once investigators are able to calm Brian down, they try to see if he has any information that could aid in the investigation.
Do you have any idea who could have done this?
No, I have no idea. I just got out of prison.
I had just came home from prison. I never seen her a day alive after I got out.
So no boyfriends or anything that we need to look into?
No.
Brian doesn't believe Denicia's boyfriend, Jason Miller, is capable of this.
Denicia's relationship with her boyfriend, Jason, wasn't perfect, but no one could imagine him harming her.
He was a heart, but they were just going through trying times right then. She would deal with other dudes just to try to make him feel some type of way.
If Denicia was with another man the night she was killed, are police dealing with a love triangle here?
In July of 2020, police in Lantana, Florida are investigating the mysterious shooting death of 29-year-old Denicia Seward, and her family is still reeling from the tragic news.
Numb. You're just numb. That's the only way I can explain it. I went numb.
Denicia's loved ones have no idea who would do something like this to her.
Denicia had been dating a man named Jason Miller at the time of her death, and their relationship had its ups and downs. But Denicia's brother insists Jason would never do anything to harm her.
He would never do nothing like this.
She would deal with other dudes just to try to make him feel some type of way, but he was a heart.
Upon learning Denicia may have been seeing other men in addition to Jason, detectives must consider a new possibility.
If Denicia was with another man the night she was killed, are police dealing with a love triangle here?
And when's the last time you had contact with Jason?
3 days ago.
Jason actually called Denicia's brother looking for her 3 days earlier.
He had asked me, can I find her? But she had called me like in the midst of the couple of hours, and she was like, oh, don't tell him where I'm at.
Just then, the man himself arrives on the scene.
I heard what happened.
Jason seems just as devastated by Denicia's passing as her family members.
Do you have any idea who she could have been with last night?
She was with someone?
Detectives must explain to Jason what they've learned from the other motel guests, that Denicia was heard arguing with a male in her room the night before.
I don't know who she was with. She definitely wasn't with me.
Jason says he was working the night shift during that time.
We had a number and name to your employer so that we can call and clear you. It's just typical procedural things, okay?
Sure.
Jason is very cooperative, and he seems like he wants to do whatever he can to help with the investigation.
Thanks, fellas. We're sorry for your loss. Thanks.
But as detectives prepare to head back to the station to continue their investigation, they're stopped by another witness.
Denicia's friend, Izzy, comes on the scene. She's extremely emotional because who would expect something like this to happen to their friend?
Is it true? Is Denicia gone?
Izzy tells investigators that she was actually with Denicia in her motel room last night.
Cheers, man.
So that night before Denicia's demise, you have Denicia, Izzy, and two other friends, and they are socializing in the room. They're doing what young people do. They're partying with each other.
One of the guys was our friend Jamie, and the other guy was someone I never met. I think his name was Andre.
Yo, D, give me another drink.
Can you get it yourself?
Izzy could suspect that there was some sort of tension between Andre and Denicia.
Sit still.
Girl, he just in a mood. You know, you want to refill?
Sure.
But what about the drug paraphernalia found in the room?
Izzy says they didn't do any drugs that night, but admits Denicia struggled with drug addiction.
After a few hours of drinking, we were getting tired. So I asked Jamie to drive me home. Hey.
What's going on?
Can you take me home?
Sure.
Sometime fairly late or into the early morning hours, they both left together.
The only person left in the room with Denicia was this guy that Izzy only knows as Andre.
Later that day, detectives finally get their hands on the surveillance footage from the motel, and it confirms Izzy's account.
Around 9:34 p.m., they can see Denicia and a man they believe to be Andre arriving at the motel.
A few minutes later, Jamie shows up, and then Izzy arrives pretty soon after that.
Just before 3 a.m., Izzy and Jamie leave together, just like she described to the investigators.
There's no more activity until 3:35 a.m. when detectives can see Andre leaving the motel.
When Andre leaves, the door to the motel room is left ajar.
And no one else enters the motel room until 7:30 a.m. the following morning, when the other motel guest discovers Denicia's body.
For detectives, this can only mean one thing.
This Andre guy is their killer.
Florida detectives investigating the murder of 29-year-old Denicia Seward have just gotten their first big break in the case after obtaining surveillance video from the motel where she was killed.
They can see a man they only know as Andre leave the room shortly before her body was found.
He then goes into a dark-colored sedan and drives off.
When detectives run the plates on the vehicle, it comes back to 28-year-old Andre Ramirez.
At this point, they're certain Andre is their killer.
But surprisingly, Andre's background is completely clean.
Mr. Ramirez did not have a prior criminal history.
So what led him to kill Denicia?
Police need to track down Andre Ramirez immediately. There are still so many questions in this case.
Unfortunately, though, tracking down Andre is no easy task.
He's not at any of his last known addresses, and his phone is going straight to voicemail.
So they put out a bolo.
Next, detectives try contacting those closest to Andre.
The police reach out to his father because they know that if you're on the run, you usually need somebody's help in order to help you financially, or just usually you keep in touch with your family.
The detectives point blank tell him that his son is potentially linked to a murder case.
While Andre's father is shocked by the news, he responds with complete cooperation.
However, his father had said that he didn't know where his son was, and he hadn't spoken with him since the homicide happened.
But he did tell investigators that if he heard from his son, he would call them ASAP.
With still no leads on Andre's whereabouts, detectives sit down with another friend of Denicia's, Jamie Baker.
Thanks for coming in to talk with us, Jamie.
Of course.
Jamie was also there the night Denicia was killed.
And he knows more about Denicia's relationship with Andre Ramirez than Izzy does.
We go way back.
He actually went to middle school with both of them, so they sort of grew up together.
Jamie says that Denicia and Andre had recently rekindled a friendship, but soon that friendship became something more.
They were kind of on and off again, and there was no indication that they were in any sort of committed or serious relationship with one another.
Denicia's true commitment was to Jason.
So Izzy mentioned that Andre seemed to be upset that night you all were hanging out. Do you have any idea what he was upset about?
Was he jealous of Jason?
Nah. I don't even think he knew about Jason.
He suggests one of the problems in the relationship might have been Andre's issues with Denicia's job as an exotic dancer.
He tells the detectives that Andre confided in him about his issues and concerns with Denicia. Andre started to get a little insecure because she was a very beautiful woman and because of her profession. So there was room for jealousy, there was room for mistrust.
But was that enough motive for murder?
To the detectives, it still feels like something is missing here.
Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Andre's father receives an unexpected call from his son.
Hello? Hey, Dad. Andre? Son, where are you? The police are looking for you.
He asked where Andre was, but Andre would not tell him where he was located.
Andre did acknowledge to his father that he felt that he had failed his family, he had failed himself. His father is asking him to turn himself in, but he's fleeing.
Listen, you've got to come back.
Okay.
I think this is just a big misunderstanding.
I'm sorry I let you down, Dad.
I've got to go.
Hello?
Andre's father immediately informs police about the phone call.
To detectives, the phone call is a clear admission of guilt.
It doesn't sound like he has any plans of coming back and facing the consequences. He's now on the run.
But the number Andre called from gives detectives a clue to his current whereabouts.
Andre's father says he didn't recognize the number that Andre called him from. It wasn't his main cell phone number.
I think it was a 404 number in Georgia.
So police officers speculate that he had to have got a phone, such as a track phone or a burner phone, in Georgia.
Could Andre still be there now?
It's possible he's hiding out somewhere in Georgia, but it's also possible he had just picked up this burner phone when he was passing through Georgia to his next destination.
Seeing the great lengths Andre has gone to evade capture, Lantana detectives decide to call in federal support.
The local police department doesn't have the capability to track a fugitive. So when you have a fugitive and he's left the state, you contact the U.S. Marshal's office.
They have the resources and the technology to track even burner phones, especially once they know the phone number, which they were able to acquire from Andre's father.
Lantana investigators also turn to the public for help.
A Crime Stoppers tip line offers a reward up to $3,000 for any tips leading to an arrest.
During this time, Denicia's loved ones are starting to grow restless.
It was frustrating because we wanted justice. But, I mean, we can't do the job that the police can do, so Really, we just had to just wait and pray that he got caught.
And on July 29th, U.S. Marshals finally make a breakthrough in the case.
They're able to trace Andre's burner phone from the location where he first purchased it near Georgia through 3 other states: Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana.
Now the phone is pinging almost 1,500 miles away in Texas.
Investigators are able to continue following Andre through Texas, where he finally stops in the city of Laredo.
U.S. Marshals actually notified authorities in Laredo, letting them know that Andre's phone was pinging in the area.
But there's one big problem.
Laredo is a stone's throw from the border.
And surveillance footage confirms investigators' worst fears.
You can see Mr. Ramirez basically parking his car and heading in the direction of the border.
Andre has fled to Mexico.
By July 2020, investigators have zeroed in on Andre Ramirez as the prime suspect in the murder of 29-year-old Denicia Seward.
However, he's now on the run.
He was last spotted in Laredo, Texas.
Authorities in Laredo locate Andre's abandoned car, but there's no sign of their fugitive.
And they did a processing of that car.
In the trunk, he's got a speed loader for a Glock 40 that matched the type of casings that were located and the projectiles located on the scene. But they didn't find the weapon.
And surveillance footage confirms investigators' worst fears.
You can see Mr. Ramirez basically parking his car and heading in the direction of the border and basically just walking across the border into Mexico.
So now it's safe to say that Andre has fled to Mexico.
However, U.S. authorities aren't giving up.
At this point, all hands are on deck. You have the U.S. Marshals, you have the Mexican police, and then you have the authorities in Laredo. They are working together to make sure that they are able to secure Andre.
But several more months pass with no signs of Andre. And Denicia's loved ones start losing hope they'll ever see justice served in her case.
Like, this dude, there's no way he should have went on the run that long. Like, come on, like, that's crazy. Like, I don't even understand that.
He took my sister. I wanted him to rot.
With pressure mounting, Lantana detectives press on and continue building their case.
In early August, Lantana police get a call from one of Andre's friends.
He believes Andre stole a gun from him, and that was a gun used to kill Denicia.
All right, can you walk me through from when the last time you saw it and all the way through?
We went out to like shooting. It was on a Friday.
He and Andre had gone target shooting 2 weeks or so before the murder.
After they were done at the shooting range, Andre asked to borrow his gun for a while.
Okay. What kind of gun was it?
It was a Glock 40-22.
And the gun was never returned.
You saw what's going on with him though, right?
Yeah, my homeboy had sent me an article and I was like, oh, wait.
So after he realized that Miss Seward was killed, that Andre Ramirez was missing, and that he was nowhere to be found, this friend then contacted law enforcement because he was concerned that this gun, if it did show up, it would come back registered to him, and he didn't want to be on the hook for this homicide.
But unfortunately, Andre's friend has no idea where he is now.
He hadn't spoken to him since that day at the shooting range.
However, when detectives get their hands on the cell phone records from Andre's main device, they finally start to get more answers on the motive in this crime.
Like Jamie described, Denicia and Andre appear to have had a very on and off relationship.
things really started to become sticky between them, and it kind of escalates into this tense relationship.
It didn't help the situation when the couple's romantic relationship evolved into a working relationship.
In addition to being an exotic dancer, Denicia started working as an escort with the help of Andre.
We're going to be making money like you've never seen before.
Detectives found ads outlining Denicia's services on several platforms paid for by Andre.
He would also pay for her motel rooms and food while she was escorting.
These escorts, I mean, in Florida, they make quite a bit of money. So he was making money off her. What he did is he took a percentage of what she was doing. He'd get a motel room, and she could make up to $500 to $1,000 a night, depending on what the client was paying.
But through the text messages, it appears that Denicia eventually became uncomfortable with this setup.
In the text messages, detectives are able to see the distress that Denicia was in because she was constantly telling Andre about the things that she did not like in their relationship.
How'd it go?
Fine.
Let me see.
She felt that she was being mistreated or maybe even used. It does seem that she had expectations of him to be her protector, that she believed that there was more to the relationship than perhaps him helping profit from her body, which, looks like what happened here.
Andre, I don't want to do this anymore.
What?
Andre still tried to maintain control through saying, different things to kind of appeal to her heartstrings.
Baby, let's think about this for a second. Don't you want your kids back?
Yeah, but...
Baby, we're so close. Just look at this cash.
This is what you often see in an abusive relationship. Not all abuse is physical. And this sounded like this was more so about dominance and control.
Got another guy coming the next few hours. Get yourself cleaned up, okay?
If Denicia refused to let Andre control her, is that what sent Andre over the edge?
Now more than ever, investigators are desperate to track down Andre Ramirez.
With Andre having fled to Mexico, there was a chance they'd never find him.
But on July 9th, 2021, nearly a year after Denicia was killed, Lantana detectives get the call they've been waiting for.
Lantana homicide.
Mexican authorities found Andre.
Andre has been detained and he is in custody.
My sister was always charismatic. She was always giving. She was always outgoing, and she was unpredictable. The only one who could predict her is my grandma or maybe me. I love my sister with every inch of breath I breathe, with every drop of blood that's in my body. I would give my life if it meant for her to live. She is not gonna be forgotten.
29-year-old Andre Ramirez, wanted for the murder of Denicia Seward, crossed the Mexican border in a bid to evade capture.
For nearly a year, Andre had been successful in his escape.
But on July 9th, 2021, Andre's escape comes to an end.
Lantana homicide.
After months of dedicated police work, the U.S. Marshals finally developed a lead on Andre's location and coordinated with Mexican authorities to apprehend him.
Andre has been detained and he is in custody.
After Andre is extradited back to Florida, Lantana detectives finally get to sit down with the man that's been consuming their investigation for the past year.
So nice to finally meet you. You've been a busy guy.
But if detectives were hoping to get a confession out of Andre, they're out of luck.
It's time for you to come clean and tell us what happened.
I have nothing to tell you. I want an attorney.
Immediately, he lawyers up.
Are you sure, Andre? This is your last chance to tell us your side.
I'm sure.
But even without a confession, investigators are able to formulate a theory as to what happened on the night of July 25th.
Based on the statements from Izzy and Jamie, it's clear that there was some tension between Andre and Denicia that night.
Hey, what's this deal?
Girl, he just in the mood.
Investigators believe that tension had been building between Andre and Denicia because she didn't want to keep escorting. She was ready to quit.
But Andre was making a lot of money off of her, and he wanted to keep making that money.
Just before 3 a.m., Izzy and Jamie went home, leaving Denicia and Andre alone in the motel room.
One can only speculate what may have gone down in the room once everyone left.
But one thing is clear. The couple got into an argument that ensued for hours.
Multiple motel guests reported hearing it.
I'm so sick and tired of you taking advantage of me.
Where do you think you'd be without me, huh?
At some point, Andre drew the .40 caliber handgun he'd stolen from his friend.
What are you doing? Put that away.
Once Denicia realized what was about to happen, she ducked behind the bed for cover.
But it was too late.
Andre sprayed the room with bullets, one of which went through the mattress and hit Denicia.
Oh my God.
After she was dead, he probably started to panic.
He left the motel and started planning his escape,
which eventually led him to Mexico.
He didn't just drive home, he just drove and drove and drove until he ended up driving all the way to Texas and then fleeing to Mexico. This was a man who knew he just did something wrong, knew he did something horrible, knew he took her life, and just wanted to get out of there as fast as he could.
Andre Ramirez is charged with second-degree murder.
Prosecutors decided to go with second-degree murder charges in this case because they couldn't prove the crime was premeditated.
We didn't have any evidence to suggest that this was an intentional act. It seemed like it was a heat of passion type of thing.
But in Florida, the maximum penalty for second-degree murder is still pretty strict.
The maximum sentence for second-degree murder is life.
And with the plethora of evidence against him, Andre sees the writing on the wall.
Ultimately, Mr. Ramirez decided to accept a plea in this case. He pled to second-degree murder and agreed to spend 20 years in the Department of Corrections.
So in this type of case here, he's got to do 85% of that time. So he's still young enough to come out around the age of 50.
For Denicia's loved ones, it's a shockingly lenient sentence.
I'm glad he's not able to hurt anyone else, but I always feel like how you take someone out, that's how you should go.
I didn't truly understand the meaning behind it, but, you know, I guess death is not for us to understand.
No matter how you look at this is a senseless tragedy, and it should have never happened, and she deserved better.
That was my mom, and I love her a lot, and I miss her.
I just miss her presence, her goofiness. That's my only sister, you know? You never get another sister back. We all wish she was here, but she still is in spirit.
Like, I love her that much. Like, a lot of people say, oh, why you bringing her back up? But this is what I like. I feel like she's right here. You feel me? I feel like she's right here.
I want people to know that she was a very loving, kind, smart young lady. And I hope that this is gonna touch other women. If you have any signs or see signs of abuse, get help. Call somebody. tell somebody, and it may save a life. And that's what I hope that we can get by doing this for Denicia Seward.
Abuse is never. She'd spent most of her life traveling the world.
She grew up in Nigeria, spent some time in Thailand.
Until she found the man of her dreams.
He was in the military.
He's a man of honor. He's a man of discipline.
She was in love.
She moved to the U.S. They got married, and then she got pregnant.
They're building a life together.
But it comes to a horrific end.
Houston police.
We found a dead body in a refrigerator.
There were multiple stab wounds.
That's going to haunt them the rest of their lives.
The gruesome discovery launches a frantic search.
Time is ticking.
The police put out an Amber Alert.
They're worried about that child.
Where's the baby? Who has the baby?
But are the police the only ones searching?
To speak with the federales.
Why flee to Mexico?
He didn't tell me his full name.
He said he feared for his son's life.
She was tied up in an organized criminal ring.
I call him the Nigerian Mafia.
December 8, 2014. It's 2 weeks after Thanksgiving in Houston, Texas, a metropolis of just over 7 million people.
Houston is such a big, vast city. You could literally drive 1 hour and still be in Houston.
The good news is if you move here, you can reach out the window and not touch your neighbor's house.
But the property manager of one townhome community is learning that even in this sprawling city, things can still be too close for comfort.
Her phone has been ringing all day.
There were some complaints about a smell.
Neighbors would be walking around, and the smell is getting stronger and stronger. They've had enough.
The source seems to be a townhouse leased to Anastasia Owakina Lambert, an immigrant from Nigeria.
Houston is one of the most diverse cities in the United States.
We have people from Africa, people from Europe, people come from all over the world, and so it does give it more of a multicultural atmosphere.
The manager tries to contact Anna, but the call goes to voicemail.
The manager wonders if maybe Anastasia is out of town.
Did they forget to clean out their fridge? Is it leftover food?
After all, it's only a couple of weeks after Thanksgiving.
That appears to be the case when the manager and maintenance man enter the apartment, trying to track down the source of the smell.
When they try the light switch, it appears that the power has been shut off.
Think about the last time you lost electricity and all that stuff in the freezers and the fridge went bad.
The maintenance man thinks it's a Thanksgiving turkey that had rotted away.
And the smell does appear to be coming from the refrigerator.
"27-year-old Anastasia Owakina Lambert had seen a lot of the world before putting down roots in Houston.
Anna came from Nigeria, and she went to Thailand for schooling.
Anna enrolled at a university in Bangkok to get a degree in multimedia journalism.
Her hope and her dream was to be on a television station and a host on her own show.
In 2012, while studying in Thailand, Anna met a former American serviceman named Patrick Lambert online.
Patrick was 10 years older than Anna, and he was living in Hawaii.
He talked a lot about how he was in the military.
The fact that he was a veteran really impressed Anna.
He's a man of honor. He's a man of discipline. He's a man that wants to serve other people because he wants to serve his country.
Patrick was equally impressed with Anna.
Anna was a fantastic person. She was generous, she was kind, she was loving.
And what started as an online friendship quickly became something more.
They fell in love.
She was sure he was the man for her.
She was in love and she was excited.
So when Patrick asked Anastasia to move to America for him, she said yes.
She moves to Hawaii.
Not long after arriving in Hawaii, Patrick proposed, and they got married.
She wanted to be married, and she kind of had those traditional values.
Now armed with a green card from U.S. Immigration, Anna was ready to take the world by storm.
The interview, it was perfect.
She'd already had her mind set on her goals because her dream was to have her own TV show.
You have no idea how much I want this job.
She got jobs in the publishing world. She worked for a web hosting company. She was really getting her foot in the door.
But for a while, she still felt like something was missing.
Even though she had her husband, she had goals, she had dreams, she wanted family.
And in 2013, that dream became reality.
She got pregnant with their son.
She was thrilled to become a mother, and they were so excited to start a family.
Soon after their son was born, the family moved to Houston.
Anna and the baby went first.
Houston has a large Nigerian population. So while it may be a foreign city to her, it's also a little bit of home.
On the southwest side of Houston, you do have a lot of stores, churches, eateries in that area that are specific for those who are Nigerian.
It was easy to adjust.
Patrick followed a few months later, and the family was reunited.
They had a 1-year-old son. Anna was hardworking. She has come from Nigeria. She came from nothing. She went to Thailand, got schooling, came to America. I mean, she's living the American dream.
But now, after multiple complaints from her neighbors, Anna's property manager and the maintenance man are investigating a pungent smell coming from her condo.
She tried calling Anna, but her phone went straight to voicemail.
The neighbors were wondering, God, what is going on there?
But inside, there appears to be a simple explanation.
When she tries to turn on the lights, it's clear the power has been shut off.
And the smell is coming from the refrigerator.
He thinks it's a Thanksgiving turkey, and it was a very strong, pungent smell.
It was so rancid that the maintenance man had to put on a mask and some gloves.
Then he opens the door.
They're overcome. It's like a wave hitting you.
Obviously, he realizes it's not a turkey.
It's coming from a dead body.
By December of 2014, it looked as if Nigerian immigrant Anastasia Owakina Lambert was well on her way to realizing the American dream.
Anna, her husband Patrick, and their young son had relocated to Houston.
She's in a new city, making new friends, at her new job.
She was very successful. She was doing really well here.
But now, Anna's property manager and the maintenance man have made a horrifying discovery in her kitchen.
There's a grown woman stuffed in a refrigerator, just as if somebody went deer hunting and put their kill in a fridge to keep it on ice.
But since the apartment's power was cut off, the body was badly decomposed.
The smell of death is not a smell that you can get out of your mind. It's a smell that you'll always remember.
That's going to haunt them the rest of their lives.
As soon as she recovers her composure, the building manager immediately calls 911.
Houston Fire Medical, what is your emergency? We found a dead body in a refrigerator.
Although it's a dead body, it doesn't quite register with the 911 operator.
Okay, we can start the CPR and I can tell you what to do until help arrives. That dead body's been probably there, I don't know how long. Is it smelly? Yes. Okay, we do have help on the way.
The 911 operator dispatches both the coroner and homicide detectives to their location.
When the police arrive, they restore the power, then make sure no one else is inside.
There's not a lot of things out of place. Nothing to show that it was some sort of burglary or a robbery.
There was no forced entry.
But there are bloodstains.
Most of the blood appears to be in the master bedroom.
There's some bloodstains on the sheets on the bed. We believe that's where she is killed.
How the victim was killed becomes obvious once the coroner's team begins the grim task of removing the body from the refrigerator.
There were multiple stab wounds to the neck. Obviously, that was the cause of her death.
Not 10, not 12, multiple stab wounds to the neck area. Over and over and over again.
It was almost 20 times. That's overkill.
The nature of the wounds may also tell detectives something about the killer's motive.
A knife attack is going to be a very personal attack.
When you stab someone, you are also feeling the effect of the stab in your arm, in your hand. And you can hear it, you can see it, and it's a feeling, right? It is a very close type of heinous crime.
It was a violent killing.
Then, once she was dead, the killer had hidden her body.
The killer took all of the shelves out and placed her in the refrigerator.
Placing the body inside the refrigerator, it preserves it. It slows down the decomposition process.
Or it would have if the power hadn't been shut off.
Eventually, that refrigerator door could not stop the stench.
But is the body in the refrigerator Anastasia? When the detectives turn to the apartment manager, she's not certain.
I can't really say. She was unrecognizable.
Given the condition of the body, it will take DNA or dental records for a positive ID.
However, the manager is able to tell detectives that Anna is married and has a son.
How old is the little boy?
Can't be no more than a year old.
She hadn't realized Anna was married until Patrick showed up several months after moving in.
They moved here from Hawaii, so I guess he was there wrapping things up.
Do you have a number for him?
No, I don't have a number for him, but I do have Anna's number.
Still, there may be a way for the detectives to track down Patrick.
The police put out an Amber Alert with Patrick Lambert and a picture of his son.
They're worried about the welfare of the child, and Patrick is obviously a person that they want to talk to.
In investigations where a spouse is killed, the investigators look at the person that's closest to them, which in this case is going to be the husband.
At this point, they really have no idea how this happened. They just know that there's this body in the fridge.
Could he be dead too, or is he a suspect?
All the detectives can do is hope that the Amber Alert leads them to Patrick and the missing child.
Amber Alerts, they can generate tips. Sometimes they're false, but occasionally they come through.
But will it pay off this time?
Somebody called in saying they thought they had seen Patrick.
And they give a location.
Not only was Patrick alive, he was at a house only a few miles from the crime scene.
Let's go.
Detectives investigating the murder of 27-year-old Anastasia Oakina Lambert have just received a tip that her husband, Patrick Lambert, is still in the city.
Where was this?
Someone called in response to the Amber Alert and said Anna's husband was at a house a couple of miles away.
So the officers went to that home.
Hey, let's go, man. We got Patrick.
And when the detectives knock on the door, a man answers.
Patrick Lambert?
He looked strikingly like Patrick Lambert.
But it sure isn't Patrick.
He was cooperative. He showed them his ID.
It's simply a case of mistaken identity.
This poor guy happens to match Patrick's description.
He doesn't have a clue who Anna is. He doesn't have an idea of what's gone on.
Have a good night. You too.
It's a disappointing outcome for the detectives.
You almost have to start over and recommit your efforts to see what you can find, but you keep working.
And later that evening, they get another call into the tip line.
And this caller, they're telling the detectives, are you sure you've identified the right person?
Because the caller claims that Anna is still alive.
The detectives are caught off guard by this.
Is it possible the body in the refrigerator isn't Anna?
The medical examiner has yet to confirm the body's identity.
This caller then tells them, well, I work with Anna. She was at work with me yesterday.
When the detectives contact the grocery store where the caller works, they confirm that a woman named Anna Owakina Lambert does work at that store.
But the address that the store has on file for her isn't where Anna lived.
Somebody is using her identity. Obviously, that's suspicious.
Hoping to get to the bottom of it, detectives head to the mystery woman's address.
They speak to her. She's very cooperative.
Her name is Jacqueline Afia.
Like Anna, Jacqueline is also from Nigeria.
Is that how you know Anna?
Sorta. We met in Thailand.
Turns out that Anna and Jacqueline went to the same college in Thailand.
We were both studying communications, and since we're both Nigerian, we just started hanging out.
If you find someone that has the same interests as you, it helps you adjust or to acclimate to wherever you are.
They became close, but had lost touch after graduation.
She went to Hawaii, and I ended up here.
But she says that about a year ago, they reconnected.
They're talking about their family, their life.
She was talking about leaving Hawaii.
She's like, if you come here, I got you. You can stay with me.
So in return, Anna had done a favor for Jacqueline.
Jacqueline couldn't work legally in the U.S., and she was having trouble finding a job.
I was filling out all the applications to get a green card, but it was taking too long, and I was running out of money.
Until Anna came up with a solution.
She says, look, girl, don't worry about the green card thing. You can use my ID.
She's married. She's not really financially in dire straits. However, her friend is.
No, we cannot do that.
You're like my sister. Come on.
What if we get caught?
Let me worry about that, okay?
She understands that you have a lot of obstacles in your way, and if I can help you, even if it puts me at risk a little bit, I'm going to do that for you.
So Anna, being the generous person she was, allowed her to use her information to then pose as her and work.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay.
She did not steal someone's identity. It was given to her, willfully.
I just can't believe she's gone.
So you've heard?
About the body? Yes.
But it's what Jacqueline says next that really grabs the detective's attention.
I was afraid something like this would happen.
Why is that?
Anna was trying to get out of the marriage. That's why she moved to Houston.
She was in an abusive relationship.
Anastasia Owakina Lambert's friend, Jacqueline Afia, has just told detectives that the 27-year-old Nigerian immigrant had actually moved to Houston to get away from her abusive husband, Patrick Lambert.
Jacqueline knew things about the marriage.
Jacqueline knew about his temper, knew about his controlling, manipulative way with Anna.
He was always calling her, keeping tabs on where she was and who she was with.
Did she tell you he was abusive?
Well, not at first.
She told the police that in their culture, they keep things to themselves involving family issues.
A lot of times in various communities, we're taught to figure it out. You're in a situation, whatever the situation is, find a way out of it. What happens in this house stays in this house.
But Jacqueline says that Anna had eventually opened up and told her the awful truth about Patrick.
There was abuse, both physical and she alleged sexual abuse while she was in Hawaii.
That's when I told her to leave him.
And she took your advice?
No, not at first.
When you're in an abusive relationship, and people always ask, why didn't she just leave? Well, that's easier said than done because they feel like they can't get out. And that's because that person has so much control over them.
But eventually, Anna had called Jacqueline and said she was ready to leave Patrick.
So she flew over here to Houston.
Jacqueline helped her get back on her feet and got her involved with the local women's shelter.
The Houston Area Women's Center is very important, very integral to the community, and they help domestic violence victims.
You're able to tap into these resources that the Houston Women's Center has to get a job, to get vouchers, to get food, to get housing.
They even help her with utilities.
She was doing so great. She had a job, she had her own place.
But then, after a few months of freedom, Patrick was back in her life.
The control that he had over Anna was very obvious because she allowed him to come back.
I told her it was a bad idea, but she would not listen.
She wanted to make the marriage work because of the baby.
She probably was holding out hope that he would change.
When's the last time you saw Anna?
I haven't seen or spoken to her since September.
Jacqueline had been trying to Facebook Messenger and getting strange responses.
What do you mean by strange?
Well, they didn't sound like her.
You think someone was using her account?
Yeah, I think so.
And Jacqueline has a pretty good guess as to who was impersonating Anna and why.
She told him she wouldn't be surprised if Patrick was behind her murder. And after hearing her story, detectives were inclined to agree.
After talking to Jacqueline, the investigators have their first suspect.
At that point, there was really only one person, that was Patrick Lambert.
With no leads on his whereabouts, the following morning, detectives follow up with the Women's Center.
The Houston Area Women's Center had an intake sheet that kind of spelled out why she was moving to Houston, why she needed shelter, and talked a lot about her abuse.
Anna has revealed that Patrick's been violent in the past. He's threatened to kill her. She's doing everything that we ask people to do in domestic violence situations. She's asking for help, and she's fleeing the situation.
But like many women in abusive relationships, she allowed her abuser back into her life.
Some people think they want help, but they may not be fully ready to get the help that they really need.
She stopped coming in for her counseling sessions, and she stopped returning my calls.
The Houston Area Women's Center is trying to locate her, but they figured she just left with Patrick because that's often what happens in domestic violence situations.
And by late November, the center stopped paying for Anna's utilities.
The Houston Area Women's Center required Anna to send them the bills to pay for them. So all the utilities are shut off November 21st.
Roughly 2 weeks later, neighbors started complaining about a smell coming from her home.
Between Jacqueline and Anna's caseworker, the detectives are convinced that the woman in the fridge is Anna, and that Patrick is the one who put her there.
They sure knew they needed to find Patrick, and find him quick. Time is ticking.
But with no new leads, detectives focus on building up their case against Patrick, starting with a search through their database.
They found out on September 2nd, there was a police report where Patrick had threatened Anna with a knife.
Nothing came of that.
She asked the police not to press charges.
Also alarming is what they don't find.
There's no record of Patrick ever being in the military.
Everything about this guy is a red flag.
Next, the detectives reach out to a woman Anna's caseworker had mentioned was one of her close friends at the women's shelter.
What I want to do now is just talk to you a little bit about everything, okay?
Oh, okay.
Did she ever tell you about Patrick?
Yeah, she told me about some stuff that happened in Hawaii. I heard from another friend that he had threatened her. I didn't know that, but she just told me that they used to fight a lot, and her mom sent her like $1,000 for her plane ticket to leave Hawaii.
She had a good support system.
Detectives also talk to Anna's employer, who has only good things to say about her.
She was hardworking. They really thought she was a great employee.
But her boss says the last contact he had with Anna, a Skype message, had made him suspicious.
I don't think that was her, honestly.
The message contained multiple questions about a project that she had already finished.
That's very strange. Yeah.
Yeah, really strange.
At the beginning of September, her sister in Germany asked me to get in contact with Anna because she wasn't contacting the family. And so I sent her a message on Skype and said, contact the family. And I just thought she'd been really, really busy, you know.
But then he got another strange message, this time from Patrick.
He sends an email on September 28th saying that Anna had a family emergency and that she was going to leave the country and that she wasn't coming into work.
The detectives know it was a lie.
Anna wasn't out of the country. She was in the refrigerator.
But where are Patrick and the couple's one-year-old son?
It can be frustrating having nothing.
Old homicide detectives used to say, if God wants the case solved, we're going to get that magic phone call.
And luckily, it doesn't take long.
On December 12th, 4 days after they found Anna's body, the detectives finally get a lead.
Homicide.
The caller is a woman named Veronica Castillo.
Veronica is in Querétaro, Mexico. It's not a very populated area in Mexico. It's much deeper in Mexico than you would think somebody would travel.
But according to Veronica, there was someone new in town.
He told her his name was Patricio Santiago.
You know, something was odd about him because he said, don't ask me nothing about my past.
Detectives investigating Anastasia Oaquina Lambert's murder have received a tip that her missing husband, 38-year-old Patrick Lambert, may be living on the lam in Mexico.
When did you first see him in Mexico?
I think it was the end of September and beginning of October.
Which is right around the time police believe the murder took place.
And unlike earlier sightings, the detectives have reason to believe this isn't a case of mistaken identity.
According to Veronica, Patrick has a little boy with him.
In the beginning, when I started talking to him, I didn't know he had a baby. Suddenly, he just did it to me like, yeah, I'm a father, I better go and take care of my baby. But he never told me about the baby before.
Veronica said she actually had played with the son some.
She'd also become very close with Patricio.
They end up having a sexual relationship.
Your wife gets murdered in Houston in September, and already by November, you're dating this new woman.
And by then, there was no doubt about Patricio's real identity.
Patrick trusted her enough that he revealed his name to her.
He told her he was Patrick Lambert.
Eventually, he even told her a little about his past. Not that Veronica believed much of it.
Patrick said he was married, but that he and his wife were separated.
He gave a lot of weird stories about how Anna was off fighting a war in Africa.
Something was like strange about him, and I just kind of ignored it.
She figured he was just telling tall tales.
However, there were other things about Patrick that were harder for her to ignore.
He had a really bad attitude sometimes.
Well, did he ever get violent with you? Did he ever hurt you?
No, not really. Not physically, but on the, you know, when sometimes you feel that the person is not, like, all good.
She says he has a bad temper.
But Veronica says the worst thing about Patrick was the way he treated his son.
She says he would often leave the one-year-old at home alone.
I was like, well, we should take the baby. How can we leave him just there alone by himself? And he was like, don't worry about it. He's going to be okay. Things like that.
She knew something's really, really off. Something's really wrong here.
So she'd done a little digging on Patrick.
When something doesn't add up, we tend to investigate.
And it didn't take long in this world of the internet for her to find the story about Anna, for her to find the Amber Alert, and more importantly, to see the photo of Patrick Lambert.
At that point, the bells would start going off.
There is a child involved. There's a woman that's been murdered. There's a man on the run.
Once she knew the whole story, Veronica contacted the Houston police.
Veronica did the right thing.
And after talking to Veronica Castillo, the detectives make a call of their own to the Mexican Federal Police.
The federales were very cooperative with Houston Police Department.
The Mexican authorities are able to locate Patrick and place him in custody.
While awaiting the transfer of both Patrick and his son back to the States, the Houston police get a call from the property manager at Anna and Patrick's townhome.
By this point, detectives have released the crime scene, and the manager is getting the home ready to be re-rented.
Everything's been cleared out. A cleaning crew's in there with bleach, scrubbing walls, repainting, trying to make it as fresh as possible.
And in the bedroom closet, they find something police had overlooked.
The cleaning crew finds a knife. Not just one knife, actually 2 knives.
Could either of these knives be the murder weapon?
The crime scene folks get back out there, and they're able to preserve them.
The knives are still at the crime lab when Patrick, fresh off the plane from Mexico, finally sits down with the detectives in Houston.
Since you were brought in here by the customs people and everything, I said we got a lot of rules. Okay, so I'm going to read you your rights.
They then read him his Miranda warnings, but she waives.
He waives his right to remain silent because, according to Patrick, he has nothing to hide.
He stated that he had been in Mexico since August, before the time of the murder.
The detectives know that's a lie.
We have witnesses that saw him here in September. In fact, there was a police report where they spoke to him in September where he threatened her with a knife.
Although for a moment, detectives play along.
Did you take a bus down there, or did you drive down there, or what? How did you get down?
But it's why he supposedly fled to Mexico that takes the detectives by surprise.
He said he feared for his son's life and his life.
Because according to Patrick, Anna was mixed up with some very bad people.
I call them the Nigerian Mafia.
Patrick Lambert has told detectives investigating the murder of his wife, Anastasia Owakina Lambert, that the 27-year-old Nigerian immigrant had connections to criminals from her home country.
She does things to survive, so if that's what she had to do to hustle, but I said it wouldn't end up good, or it wouldn't, it would end up being a problem.
Patrick tells a tale of how he had to flee with his son from Houston because the Nigerian Mafia had a hit out for his wife.
You think she owed somebody money? Definitely. Do you think that was the reason for her being killed? I mean, I don't know, but she had to take care of family back in Nigeria. And, is that a Nigerian thing, the way they killed her, to make a statement?
Patrick says he doesn't know.
He said that she was tied up in these things, that she was doing all this criminal behavior.
But the detectives don't believe a word of it.
I know you killed Anna. I know you did. Been doing this a very long time.
The story was so ridiculous.
We found absolutely no ties to her having any sort of criminal behavior whatsoever, much less ties to an organized criminal ring.
If Patrick was so concerned, and it was truly a Nigerian Mafia hit, why wouldn't he reach out to the police? Why flee to Mexico?
The detectives have heard enough.
Do you want to spend the rest of your life in prison, or do you want a chance to have a life?
He immediately stops talking and asks for a lawyer, and the interview ends.
At the end of the interview, the detectives arrest Patrick for first-degree murder.
Between his history of abuse and the fact that he'd fled to Mexico, detectives believe they have a strong case.
But when the case goes to trial in October of 2019, Patrick has one more surprise for everyone.
The day jury selection begins, he decides he's going to represent himself.
Him serving as his own counsel was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
What it tells me about Patrick is he's controlling, he's manipulative,
He truly believed he could manipulate the men and women on that jury, the facts of the case, because he believed he was charming. He was the one that could convince anyone.
The prosecutors argue that Patrick's manipulation directly led to Anna's murder.
He probably wanted someone who would just stay at home and cater to his every need. And him trying to control her, it just didn't work.
You have someone that comes from Africa, and now she's in the United States. What that did for Anna was it gave her a chance to see women with a lot of autonomy, to see women who were independent. That woke something up inside of Anna that her husband probably did not like.
She became more wary of him, and she realized that she had become successful on her own. She didn't need him. She didn't need him in her life anymore.
She just wanted what you and I want. She wanted a fresh start. She wanted to see her son grow up. She wanted her freedom.
She had, we believe, started to distance herself from Patrick, and we think that's what ultimately led to the murder.
Because by late September of 2014, Patrick had become aware that he was losing control of Anna.
His last bit of control was to take her life.
The police and the prosecutors believe that the murder occurred on the 27th.
September 26th is the last time anyone sees Anna.
Then on the 28th, he had the nerve to send an email to her employer saying that she had gone home to Nigeria for a family emergency.
We don't know exactly what transpired. I would imagine she was telling him, I'm divorcing you, I'm getting out of this relationship, and he wasn't going to have it. He took out a knife and brutally murdered her, stabbing her 20 times.
He didn't stab her once and was like, oh no, I don't know what to do. He stabbed her so many times.
This person is in a rage state. That was what Anna felt in the last few moments of her life.
And when the rage subsided, he tried to hide what he'd done.
He took all the shelving out, and he put her body in a position where she would fit in the refrigerator. And 2 days later, he's on a bus to Mexico with the son. He bought the tickets on September 29th. He gets on a bus September 30th. And by October 1st, he's already got a place in Mexico. And he meets Veronica, and they have a romantic relationship.
When it's the defense's turn, Patrick remains adamant that he wasn't the one who killed Anna.
Patrick didn't seem to really acknowledge that he was in trouble, and so he's asking very irrelevant questions about things like the Nigerian mafia and the Ivory Coast mafia.
He challenged officers on what they didn't do. Did the officers follow up on the Nigerian mafia claim?
He became very combative, very aggressive.
When the case goes to the jury, the prosecutors are confident of a conviction.
You would think this is a slam dunk. They're going to come back in 5 minutes and find this clown guilty.
But an hour passes, and then 2, and 3.
What in the world is going on? Do they believe his story? What is happening in that jury room?
Finally, after 4 days of deliberation, the jury reaches its verdict.
Patrick was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Under state law, he's eligible for parole after 30 years.
But he'll only spend a few days behind bars.
Shortly after he went to prison, he killed himself.
He took his own life because that was his last part of his life that he could control. No one's going to tell me what to do.
He was like, I control my own life, and so he took it.
A lot of people still have the feeling of eye for an eye. But even that doesn't feel like justice because the victim's family, friends, and those that were close to her still feel the pain for the rest of their lives.
There are many victims, but the most prominent one that stands out, in my view, is the child.
Neither one of his parents are there to see him grow up.
And since Anna's family is in Nigeria,
she was very beautiful. She carried herself like a woman. Men loved her.
She wanted to be a wife. She was always looking for love. The police officers came in. They were very kind, but I could tell that something was seriously wrong.
They find a female laying at the bottom of the stairs, curled up in the fetal position, not moving. A male lying on the couch, bleeding severely.
They go upstairs with their guns drawn to check all the rooms.
There were 3 witnesses.
I just knew he was the devil right then and there.
When he was clear, he was the best guy around. When he was on the drugs, there was an evil in his eyes.
You are my everything. Without you, I can't breathe.
He went to the house, he looked in through the window, and he flipped out.
She broke my heart, so I blew hers out.
Colorado Springs is about 70 miles south of Denver.
Colorado Springs area in the 90s was heavily military. There is a U.S. Olympic Training Center here. The U.S. Olympic Committee was based right here in Colorado Springs for quite a while. And they built a really state-of-the-art training center. So they trained all kinds of different athletes.
On February 4th, 1993, Colorado Springs Police Dispatch receives a panicked 911 call from a townhome on Vail Pass Drive.
The police department received a notification about 1:58 a.m. of a domestic violence disturbance at this location.
Moments later, a second call comes in. This time, the caller reports gunfire.
That's updated to shots being fired. When that happens, you have a lot more units responding.
Police arrive and they're responding to a shots fired call. They need to secure the scene first, so they have their guns drawn.
The door was open, so they enter the residence. They find a female laying at the bottom of the stairs. She's curled up in the fetal position, not moving. They observe a male. He is bleeding severely on the couch, but he is still breathing.
They ask, who did this? And the only thing that he can say is, help me.
With both victims suffering from what appear to be life-threatening injuries, paramedics work quickly to get them into ambulances.
With all of this going on, the police are still very cautious. They begin to climb the stairs with their guns drawn because they're not sure if the suspect is still in the home or not.
They go upstairs to check all the rooms and make sure that the suspect is no longer there.
Instead, they find the unexpected.
They've noticed 3 children in one of the rooms.
We stayed in the room. The police officers came in. They were very kind. They looked like, everybody was very distraught. I could tell that something was seriously wrong in a lot of their faces.
At the same time, a woman, Gwen Watson, shows up at the scene.
Gwen did leave the residence to go call 911 to get police response. She comes running back in after police are on scene.
Gwen tells police that she does know the victims in the home, that the woman at the bottom of the stairs is Pam Edwards, her friend, and that Frederick Hill, he was the man who they found on the couch.
Gwen says the boy is her son. 2 young girls, 8-year-old Lamaya and 7-year-old Tanea, belong to Pam.
It was me, Tanea, Gwen, and Robert. You can go through so many experiences in your life, right? A lot of memories, a lot of things. Some things you remember, some things you don't. But that kind of trauma just don't never leave. It doesn't. It's there.
Pamela Edwards was born on January 14th, 1967, in Winona, Mississippi.
And it was 7 of us, 4 girls, 3 boys, and my mother. We left Mississippi when I was 13, so we ended up living there in Colorado. Pam, let me tell you, she just was a joy. And when she was alive in people's life, everybody loved her. Even when she was small, too, when she was growing up. Everybody loved being around Pam.
As a teenager, Pam fell in love for the first time. Motherhood followed.
I was military, and majority of the time, I wasn't around, but I knew she was in love with him. I knew she was in love with him.
Lamaya was born in 1984, followed by Tanea the following year.
She was the mother. And, you know, at a young age, you know, you really don't know much about caring, but she cared for her kids.
Growing up with her was fun. We would have fun times. She used to like to build tents and play like Army Force and do crazy things with us.
She was always full of adventures, just always having something going on. If we were walking up the stairs, she would have a little cute song to go up the stairs to. She would make a song about cleaning the room. Everything was like a song and dance with this lady. That's my mom.
Pam's relationship with the girl's father didn't last, but her dedication to her kids did not waver.
She worked. That's one thing she always did was work. She was going to provide and make sure that they have a home.
She was a nurse's aide and she loved her patients like they were her family. And they loved her.
She always came home and spoke about them. Sometimes she would cry when some of them passed away. Like, she was really, really a caring person. And she loved what she did.
Despite her busy schedule, Pam paid careful attention to her appearance.
She was like a Marilyn Monroe. She was fashionista. You never caught her off guard. I mean, she was always together.
She wanted to be a wife. She wanted a family. So she was always looking for love in a man all the time. Even though she had me and my sister, she always wanted, you know, the father.
On October 21st, 1990, 23-year-old Pam married an aspiring basketball player named Eugene Edwards.
She liked the guys that were very athletic.
He was like on his way to being a professional basketball player. He played in college, he won CBA, and like basketball was his life. My stepdad was amazing. They loved him. And he loved my mom too. They were young. They had a young, beautiful love.
But after 3 years of marriage, Eugene's busy career took a toll.
He was traveling for the NBA and doing all those, and he had women always at his heels. They would take breaks often. They separated, but it was like he was still trying to come back. They were still trying to work on it, but I think both of them were seeing other people. She went to the gym all the time. She always used to go after work. She would work out and stay fit. That's where she met Jamal.
He is a boxer at the Olympic Training Center. He was very athletic, tall, handsome. He was an Olympic hopeful, and she was really into him.
We all called him Jamal. That's what he was introduced to us by. But his name was Sammy Lee Denson.
I just remember thinking he was a giant, and he was really like cool, like automatically joking with us. And he took us to the carnival. We rode rides together. She was seeing Jamal and still trying to figure out what she wanted to do in her marriage.
But for Jamal, there was no question. He was in love.
When Pam walked in the room, I mean, people just crowded her. I mean, men loved her. She was beautiful. She was very beautiful. She carried herself like a woman.
But in February of 1993, 26-year-old Pam is being rushed by ambulance to a local hospital after suffering multiple gunshot wounds.
When I first arrived on scene, I also found out that there were 3 children present and an adult female present upstairs. I learned that the adult female had 1 child up there, and the other 2 children were the children of Pam Edwards.
I remember him telling me, like, you know, we all have guns, you know, you're safe. All those people out there, they have guns, you know, we're gonna protect you. So I remember them being like, making me feel really safe. I felt safe as soon as they came.
They isolated us all in one room, in my mom's room, upstairs. We were in that room, it felt like days and hours. They wouldn't let us come down because it was a crime scene.
We didn't want to bring them down because they would have had to pass right over the worst contaminated area of the scene, blood contamination of the scene, and it would have been a little more traumatic than we were willing to put these kids through. Officers are securing the scene, one, to protect the scene from being contaminated, and two, to protect our witnesses, the kids and Gwen, and those were our primary witnesses, and also in case the guy comes back.
On the scene of a shooting, victims 26-year-old Pamela Edwards and 25-year-old Frederick Hill have been rushed to nearby hospitals. Soon after investigators arrive, they get an update from hospital staff.
One went to one hospital, one went to the other hospital. Frederick Hill was being treated for multiple gunshot wounds. He would hopefully be a witness if he survived.
But Pam Edwards will never tell her story.
The female victim, which was identified as Pam Edwards, had been pronounced dead by the time she had arrived at the hospital.
Pam suffered 4 gunshot wounds.
One was described as a perforating wound to the arm. A bullet had passed through the hand. One was described as a penetrating wound to the chest where it entered the body but didn't exit. And a third was identified as a perforating wound to the abdomen, exiting through the backside, the bottom, the rear. The wound that was in their chest had actually perforated the aorta, and that was identified as the kill shot.
Homicide detectives take stock of the townhome where the shooting took place.
Once you enter the scene, you can see where one victim had been shot and had bled excessively on the floor right at the base of the stairs. You could get into the living room area. You could also see where another victim had apparently been shot and either came to rest on the couch or was laying on the couch when he was shot because there was a large quantity of blood in that area. You could see a couple shell casings, small caliber, semi-automatic handgun. The shell casings were .380 automatic. The front door was open. It wasn't forced open. There's no damage to indicate it was a kick-in or anything like that.
Investigators believe someone let the assailant in.
Then police needed to interview everybody in the house, and so that was Gwen.
Gwen tells them she'd fallen on hard times, and Pam had taken her in until she got back on her feet.
Gwen and my mom, they became friends from the mutual friend. She had a little son, and she didn't have anywhere to go. I think she left her mom's house, and she needed somewhere to stay.
Gwen tells investigators that earlier in the night, they watched a movie with the kids and then put them to bed.
A short time later, another party came by the name of Kenny. Gwen explained to me that Kenny was a party she knew as Frederick Kenneth Hill. He'd go by Frederick, he'd go by Kenny. He was the second victim in the case.
At some point in the night, Gwen reports that she went upstairs to make a phone call and left Frederick and Pam downstairs.
She then hears banging at the door, saying, "Let me in." She tells us by the voice that she's hearing, she knows it to be Jamal.
Gwen tells police that Jamal is a 6'4" man who is also Pam's boyfriend. And before Gwen knows it, she hears at least 5 gunshots go off in the house.
After not hearing something for a little bit of time, she's hoping Jamal has left. She thinks he has because she hasn't heard anything, so she goes down to check. She sees Pam crumpled down at the bottom of the stairs, laying in a fetal position. She can hear the person she identified as Kenny kind of making some sounds. She sees Kenny laying on the couch that had a lot of blood on his leg.
She rushes back upstairs, gets on the phone, calls 911, but she's worried that Jamal might still be in the house and could hear her if she speaks on the phone. So she hangs up, Then she's worried that, 911 might call back and Jamal might hear the phone ring, so she unplugs the phone. She knows she needs help, so she runs out of the house, goes to a neighbor to call 911.
As Gwen finishes her story, one of Pam's daughters speaks up.
Lamaya, the 8-year-old, she tells police, well, I saw things.
I was literally on the foyer of the townhome and I was at the top and I was looking down watching.
Working homicide, you have to have a certain attitude. You realize that you're investigating somebody on their worst possible day. You're working for them and their family because nothing's going to bring them back. First thing you're telling them is they don't live here anymore. They live in your mind, your heart, and your soul. My brother was murdered. A party was apprehended about a week later and was on the path of being convicted until he confessed and got sentenced to life. Was justice served? I can't say. People talk about closure. I don't buy into the closure bit. Just because he's in jail, there's no closure.
In February 1993, Colorado Springs detectives are investigating the fatal shooting of 26-year-old Pamela Edwards. Pam's daughters tell investigators they were awakened by arguing.
Frederick Kenneth Hill and my mother and Gwen were all awake downstairs before I went to sleep. It was like a heated conversation between Kenny and Gwen, because it was like some loud talking going on, but I didn't know, exactly what was being said.
She also advised that there was a relationship between Gwen and Frederick. She describes him as being intoxicated and arguing.
And my mom was like, you guys can't have this going. And my mother was trying to get him to calm down.
Gwen ends up going upstairs and is talking to some friends on the phone while Pam and Frederick are hanging out down in the living room.
Tanea says she fell asleep, but Lamaya was still awake a few minutes later when she heard pounding on the front door.
Boom, 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 boom. My mom's like, hold on a minute.
Lamaya was awake and did hear some of the commotion going on downstairs. She went to the top of the stairs and looked down.
And I was at the top and I was looking down watching. And my mother opened the door. He's oh, you're trying to mess with this guy. And she's like, no, Jamal. And I just remember watching like the first bullet. I mean, I watched the first bullet as she was trying to put her hands up to protect herself. And then he shot again, then he turned the gun on Kenny.
Jamal fled through the front door.
And I was just standing there screaming and yelling and screaming, Mommy. But I was in real life shock. Nobody knows what that means, like real life shock, where you want to move and your body cannot even move. Like you want to run and your body can't even run. The only thing that I was able to do was scream. My mom was still laying there and she was breathing really heavy and Kenny was screaming for help. He was like, please, hurry up, please. Please help me, please.
Lamaya rushed back to her sister in the bedroom.
I remember my sister running, saying, Mom's dead, Tanea, Mom's dead. And I'm like, what? I just was frozen, like, what? She's dead. And I got up and we went to the edge of the stairs and I saw her. And she was curled up in a fetal position. It was a lot of blood coming from up underneath her. And it looked like she was trying to talk, but it was blood coming from her mouth as well. It looked like she was trying to tell us to go back upstairs. I ran to the bottom of the stairs and she tried to cover my eyes and I just ran to my mom. I was trying to help her. Mm-hmm.
Tanaya told police that while she was downstairs, Jamal actually came back in the house and went upstairs. Tanaya also went upstairs to hide in her room, but she was able to see what was going on.
He ran upstairs and he had an extra pair of clothes and he changed the clothes that he had on and he left.
He went to the trouble of changing his clothes when he was still at Pam's house, but he put his blue Olympic jacket back on.
Then investigators noticed something clutched in Lamaya's tiny hand.
This letter from Jamal to Pam is clearly discussing a recent breakup, how it's torturing Jamal, how he wants to be back with her, and how difficult this process has been for him.
Jamal describes his obsession with Pam and how his uncertainty is becoming unbearable.
You are my everything. Without you, I can't breathe. You are the one who just fills my day.
It was even signed Jamal, or J with a couple hyphens.
Gwen and the girls tell investigators that this wasn't the first time Jamal was violent with Pam.
Gwen described this relationship as happening for about 1.5 years. And the relationship with Jamal and Pam starting out very well, but that things became quite turbulent, and that especially in the last few months, things had really starting to break down.
I'll never forget when I met him, he brought like a bag of Cheetos and some Mountain Dew when he walked in our house. And I just knew he was the devil right then and there.
We were at one of his boxing matches and like he came out of the ring and started fighting the guys that were sitting and watching the fight because he thought my mother and them were giving each other the eye. And he beat up 2 of those guys at one time. And yeah, it was like so crazy. The whole boxing match got canceled and they had to call the police and he was just like, oh, it was so scary. And then after we went to the hotel room and I think that's the first time I witnessed her getting beat up by him.
Jamal was the type of, oh, I'm sorry, Pam, with the gifts and things like that. So it'd be, oh, Pam, I got this for you. I got that. So it would always be like a type of gift to wing his way back in to get into her life. And then a week or 2 later, then the beatings start.
There was one time he went to jail for beating her up real bad, gave her black eyes and broke her arm.
Pam had enough. She filed a restraining order.
Restraining orders are obviously, they're only as good as the piece of paper they're written on, because if the guy's not going to buy it doesn't mean anything. It's not going to get up and protect you. This appeared to be a domestic violence homicide.
Investigators immediately launch a manhunt for Sammy Denson, aka Jamal.
We were able to positively identify who Jamal was because of what Lamaya had told me. She stated that yes, everybody knew him by Jamal, but she knew him as Sammy Denson also because that's the name he used when he was boxing.
And so the dispatch airs a description of the suspect. They air that they're looking for a 6'4" black man, about 200 pounds, around 27 years old, who is wearing a black Olympic jacket.
Before the hunt is time to amp up, another disturbing call comes into 911.
We're still processing the scene and preparing things when the police department received a telephone call from a party who made a very simple statement as I shot those 2 people. And that started a whole nother ball rolling.
Colorado Springs police are still at the townhome where Pam Edwards lost her life in a fatal shooting just hours earlier, when another 911 call comes into dispatch.
This 911 operator received a telephone call approximately 3:50 in the morning from a party who basically stated that he was sorry that he had shot the people at Vail Pass Drive. That was our crime scene, so it was pretty much sure we're probably talking to the suspect. Before she's able to get any information, he hangs up the phone.
Police then trace that call, and they find that the call was made from a payphone at a loafing jug on Pikes Peak Avenue.
Officers were dispatched to go to that location. They were provided the suspect information that we had. It was the clothing description. And one of the particular items of clothing description was a Olympic Training Center jacket. There was an officer just happened to be close, so he pulled in. He didn't see anybody at the payphone. He did notice that in this little convenience store, they had a little seating area to where you buy some food and sit down and eat or drink a cup of coffee, and there were 3 people there.
They notice that one gentleman stands up, and they notice, hey man, he kind of fits the description. Plus, he has on Olympic gear.
As more patrol cars arrive, the man steps outside.
They have a bunch of officers, and they are approaching very carefully. That's a big guy, and he's a boxer. He's a pre-Olympic boxer. He is in stellar shape. That means he's going to be strong, he's going to be fast, he's going to be mean, and he's going to know how to throw a punch.
They want to talk to him, and when they try to stop him, they say, if you move, you are dead, but he still decides to take off. The police are behind him about 10 or 15 yards, and as he's running, he's able to jump 2 fences.
They finally catch up to him at a house, and it takes, at that point, 10 police officers to bring him down.
Upon his arrest, he's searched for the officers. In the course of that arrest, they took everything from him to include some suspected crack cocaine, drug paraphernalia, a pipe and screen used for smoking crack cocaine.
Police don't find any weapons on Sammy Dennison.
He is immediately transported to the Major Crimes Unit of the police department for the purpose of an interview.
Sammy was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder in the first degree and 2 counts of crime of violence.
They also file 1 count of possession of a Schedule II controlled substance for the crack that they found.
So while the suspect was being arrested, there were still, of course, some police officers at the Loaf and Jug. They were, again, processing the scene. And the 2 gentlemen that were with the suspect, they approached the police and introduced themselves.
Reuben Caro was the bondsman who had bonded Sammy out of jail on his last incident. Richard Wood was the coach for Sammy Denson.
So we told them who we were, how we were associated with Sammy. And they said, well, we need you to come down to the station and answer some questions.
At the station, Richard Wood gives investigators background on the man he believed was bound for Olympic gold.
Sammy Denson is his boxing name because you have to use your given name that is on your passport ID. And that was his given name, and that's what he had to use. He wanted the Muslim faith, and that's what he adopted from Sammy to Jamal. I had the #1 gym in Colorado at the time, and he just walked in. He advanced so quickly. He had won the state tournaments. He beat everybody in the state, the regions, and then went to the nationals all in the first year. He was on track to go to the Olympics. In 1993, he was the 3rd ranked heavyweight in the nation.
But Sammy veered off course.
We didn't know when he started the drugs. He wasn't on them when he first started. When he was clear, he was the best guy around. When he was on the drugs, you could tell because there was an evil in his eyes.
We always like to get together over at my mom's house. We always celebrate birthdays, holidays, you know. Anytime we have a little gathering, everybody will come. And Pam would be, because we know Pam's coming. But when she got with Jamal, she stopped being around us. She stopped coming. And we would call and she wouldn't answer the phones. We knew, no matter what anybody say, we knew. We knew he wasn't right. And I know my sister kept secrets because she didn't want him to hurt us or her kids. And I believe today, that's why she never told us everything that happened. Something she went through, she never told us. We didn't find out until she was dead and gone.
The day after the shooting death of Pamela Edwards, police have arrested her boyfriend, Sammy Denson, aka Jamal. While Sammy is processed, Colorado Springs detectives question his boxing coach.
He could have been, from all statements made, a contender in the Olympics, but he let two things get a hold of him. One, drugs, and two, his inability to handle personal problems.
Richard Wood explains that he got a panicked call from Sammy in the middle of the night, just after the shooting.
And it was between midnight and 2 o'clock. I got the call, and it was Sammy, and he was talking incoherently and everything.
Sammy's friend and bail bondsman, Ruben Caro, was in the car with him.
And Ruben said, "Dickie," he said, "it's serious stuff." And I said, "All right, you can pick me up." And I got in the back seat, and Sammy was in the front, and Ruben was driving. The energy when I got in the car was just off the charts. The anxiety, the nervousness, and him being nervous and moving and everything, plus the fact that he was on drugs, and he was moving and jerking and everything, and Ruben was driving with his eyes just fixed on the road, just scared to death himself. And I got mad because he was waving the gun around and scaring me that it could go off and everything, because he wasn't being very lucid. He was just completely gone. And so when I slapped him and said, "Sammy, put the gun away," he listened right away and stuck the gun right in his pocket.
They convinced Sammy to stop at the convenience store to talk through what had him so upset.
So we went in and we sat down in the little booth there, and we were talking and everything, and I said, "What happened?" And he told me that he went to our house.
When he went to the house, he looked in through the window and he saw Freddie sitting on the couch with Pam. He flipped out.
He sees what he thinks is a makeout session between Frederick and Pam.
When he seen them on the couch together, he said he lost his mind.
He knocks on the door. Pam asks who it is, and he says, "It's me," and that's when he busts through the door.
He knocked her down, he put the gun to her heart and pulled the trigger. And then he shot Fred too.
Sammy was determined to get revenge.
He told me, he said, "She broke my heart, so I blew hers out." Exact words.
Ruben and Richard told Sammy he needed to call 911 right away.
I said, "We've got to call to see if she's okay. We've got to report it." I said, "Sammy, you need to go out and make the phone call." And so he went out and made the phone call.
Moments later, the police closed in.
I'm looking out at the street, and all of a sudden there's one cop car. Then there's another cop car. Then I see like 5 cop cars just driving around the convenience store, but none of them are stopping or anything. And then all of a sudden, one stops and pulls out. And I told Sammy, I said, "You got to get out of here."
They also stated that they had seen the weapon and that it was on his body at the time that he took flight.
Investigators send officers to see if Sammy dumped the gun when he ran away.
It was imperative that we try to find this weapon for public safety and evidence. Multiple officers, including 2 K-9 units, were dispatched to the area for the purpose of doing article searches. We were unable at that time. No officer came across the weapon, and we did not recover it during the course of this investigation.
Back at the station, detectives sit down with Sammy.
I advised Sammy of his rights per Miranda and asked him whether he understood those rights, which he stated he did. I then asked if he was willing to waive those rights and grant me an interview. He said no in a roundabout way. He said he was high and didn't want to get himself in any trouble. Once he says he will not conduct an interview with me, all attempts to interview him are ended at that point, and that's what happened.
On February 9th, less than a week after the shooting, Frederick Kenny Hill has recovered enough from his injuries to give a statement.
Frederick Hill was wounded by 2 shots. One that passed through his forearm and entered his upper chest, and the second one grazed his forehead.
Officers go to the hospital to interview Frederick Hill and attempts to get a positive identification on the suspect.
And I show him a photographic lineup of 6 individuals. He's able to positively identify the person I knew as Sammy Denson as being the person that was in the house and actually shot him.
A few weeks later, Sammy Denson's legal team submits a plea of not guilty.
They don't have a lot of forensic evidence. They don't have DNA, and they certainly don't have the murder weapon. They don't have the gun, even though they spent hours that night searching for it. What they do have is really impactful eyewitness statements. But the fact that some of these witness statements were from children under the age of 10 could call their credibility and their reliability into question.
In August of 1993, Sammy Denson goes on trial for the first-degree murder of Pamela Edwards and the attempted murder of Frederick Kenny Hill. The prosecution presents a long list of eyewitnesses.
Gwen Watson, she was able to share, again, with the jury this history of abuse. And of course, she was able to tell the jury what she observed that night, that she saw Jamal or Sammy in the house shooting Pam and killing her. Frederick Hill, who was able to describe viscerally for the jury the savagery that he endured that night when he was shot 3 times. Ruben Caro,